Vozrozhdenia. This Aral Sea Isle was once a top-secret Soviet biological weapons lab where all manner of microscopic horrors were manufactured. Smallpox, botulism, the plague, and anthrax were just a few of the nasties on deck at Vozrozhdenia. What's more, Soviet scientists Gennady Lepyoshkin worked to make these deadly viruses totally treatment-resistant. This Cold War relic was also a shop of terrors for our closest primate friends, as more than 300 of them were used as experimental fodder for the microbes. Up to 1,500 people lived and worked on Vozrozhdenia, perfecting the pathogens and swimming in the Aral Sea during their downtime. Eventually, the Aral Sea dried up, and Vozrozhdenia became just another feature of the landscape. The Russian government swears that it's safe, but who knows what horrors could still be lurking in its long-forgotten lab. Isla Bermeja. Also known as the Lost Island, Isla Bermeja has been firmly located right off of the Yucatan Peninsula coast since the 1700s. Or has it? Although this mysterious island is on hundreds of maps spanning back centuries, the actual island itself doesn't seem to exist. Whether Isla Bermeja vanished, simply was never there, or is the uncanny product of multiple identical map errors is anyone's guess. Underwater searches have turned up precisely 0 clues, all of which makes excellent fodder for conspiracy theorists who conclude that the island was blown to bits by the United States during a territory dispute with Mexico. Palmyra Atoll. 1,000 miles south of Hawaii lies a strange island that some say is under the stranglehold of demons and dark creatures. Ships regularly crash on the jagged reefs surrounding Palmyra Atoll, and some ships sail too close and vanish entirely, the most famous in 1855. Apart from the Bermuda Triangle, there are very few places in the sea that are this mysterious. Although most sailors won't go anywhere near it today, Palmyra Atoll was used by American forces during the Second World War. Those who survived to tell the tale talked about encounters with nightmarish creatures, and many of their comrades suffered panic attacks or even committed suicide. Are the grisly stories about Palmyra Atoll wildly exaggerated, or is this ghoulish lore rooted in monstrous truth? Zalzala Koh. Although earthquakes are most famous for leveling the ground, they build it on rare occasions, as was the case for Pakistan's Zalzala Koh, or Earthquake Island. In September 2013, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake devastated the country, killing 39 people and raising an island from the sea. Eyewitnesses saw the island's birth, which spanned 330 feet long, or as long as Big Ben is high, and 30 feet tall. Unfortunately, Zalzala Koh was not long for this world. The island only remained above the waves for 6 short years before plummeting back down to the depths. Still, the sheer force that spawned Zalzala Koh earns it a place on our list of most mysterious islands. Socotra Island. Yemen's Socotra Island is like a tiny planet all its own, bursting with fascinating and endangered flora. A full third of the island's plant life is unique to Socotra Island, which is why this fantastic slice of the planet is a protected national park and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Visitors to Socotra Island are amazed by what they find. Otherworldly plants, and a Dr. Seussian type of plant called the Dragon's Blood Tree, which oozes bright red sap and only grows a handful of leaves every season. This tree is supposed to have medicinal properties, and its hue-saturated sap makes a great fabric dye. As for animals, Socotra Island has very few. The thriving bat population is about the only life you'll find there, although scientists have uncovered some intriguing cave writings. Some even speculate that this island gem is one of the cradles of civilization, or maybe even the famed Garden of Eden. Easter Island. This far-flung Pacific Ocean island is home to one of the most famous mysteries on the planet, the puzzling Easter Island statue heads. Why did the people of Easter Island create their massive monolithic statues? And more importantly, how did they do it, given the island's remoteness? Technically, Easter Island belongs to Chile and was discovered by European conquistadors in 1772, although it's highly probable that native Chilean people landed on Easter Island long before that. The Rapinui, Easter Island's indigenous people, are genetically dissimilar from South Americans though, which begs the question, where did they come from and how they got to this remote plot of land out in the middle of the sea? There are so many enigmas swirling around this island, and it's unlikely that we will ever get to the bottom of them all. North Brother Island. North Brother Island opened as a response to the smallpox epidemic that was ripping through the United States and the world in the late 1880s. Located in New York's East River, this island was home to the infamous Riverside Hospital, where smallpox patients were quarantined. Over time, Riverside Hospital expanded to include other patients, including typhoid. Typhoid Mary, one of history's most famous boogeymen, spent some time in Riverside until she died in 1938. After the smallpox and typhoid epidemics concluded, North Brother Island was used as veterans housing and a home for addicts, and was eventually shuttered in 1963. Although the patients are gone, the ghost stories remain, and many people think that the souls of those who were mistreated or suffered on the island still haunt them to this day. Miyake-jima. The poisonous isle of Japan's Miyake-jima is one of the most mysterious and possibly most dangerous places on the planet. Miyake-jima's active volcano is at risk of spewing up another apocalyptic lava explosion at any moment. But that's not the worst of it. This island's soil is saturated with poisonous gases. Still, 2,415 people live on Miyake-jima, despite their last forcible evacuation in 2000. It's mandated that these residents carry gas masks with them regularly, and there is always the threat of another evacuation. Still, there is a silver lining in the form of tourist dollars. Miyake-jima residents have made some lemonade out of their lemons by selling gas masks to tourists and taking them on tours of the unspoiled parts of their island. Poveglia Island. Venice, Italy's Poveglia Island was the country's epicenter for Black Death victims, housing up to 160,000 patients during the plague that ripped through Europe in the 1600s. Up to half of the island's soil is comprised of plague victims' ashes. And the island's dark and disturbing history doesn't end there. In the 1920s, Poveglia Island evolved into a new ghoulish purpose, housing the mentally ill under the iron fist of a head physician who used the unfortunate patients as more of medical experiments than human beings. He jumped to his death from the hospital's belfry tower, haunted perhaps by what he'd done, or something else. Since the hospital was literally built upon the ashes of plague victims, Poveglia Island is supposed to be jammed full of unhappy spirits and tortured souls. The Island of Dolls. Mexico's Island of Dolls is a tourist destination with a sad and disturbing past. Located in Xochimilco, just south of Mexico City, the Island of Dolls was the brainchild of a local eccentric, Julian Santana Barrera, who created the unique decor as a way to appease the ghost of a little girl who drowned. After a local child drowned near his island shores, Barrera started to find doll parts washing up everywhere. He took this as a sign that the little girl was lonely and began to decorate the island's trees with the dolls. Allegedly, Barrera did it to protect himself from the spirit of the dead child, and it worked for 50 years. Barrera eventually succumbed to the sea himself, drowning in precisely the same spot the child had all those years ago. Today, anyone can visit the island and pay homage to the drowned victims, the little girl and Barrera. Some people pay their tributes with dolls. Others come to visit the multiple dolls that hang from the trees. One thing is for sure, you won't leave the same. Roanoke. The granddaddy of all Isle mysteries, Roanoke is one of the most famous American enigmas ever, and is even prominently featured in pop culture, specifically American Horror Story. In late 1590, 100 people completely disappeared from Roanoke, leaving only the ominous word Croatoan carved into a tree. Where the population went is anyone's guess, although there are some grisly speculations. Some people think that the local Croatoan Native American tribe wiped them out in an ambush. Others wonder if the carving had anything to do with Croatoan, a Native American god whose name means soul reaper, which could indicate a ghastly, massive human sacrifice. In wilder speculation, Croatoan might have been the name of a vicious virus that wiped out the whole town. Whatever happened, All indications point to disturbing. Barsa-Kelmis. Kazakhstan's Barsa-Kelmis is Kazakh for the land of no return, and this hideously enigmatic isle certainly lives up to its moniker. Scores of people have vanished from Barsa-Kelmis, which some speculate had to do with the presence of a large winged lizard who picked them off one by one. Since they're literally gone from the face of the planet, who can possibly say? Today, Barsa-Kelmis has rejoined the land with the evaporation of the Aral Sea. Whether the mysterious disappearances there were totally accurate or part of a massive Cold War-era urban legend, who's to say? Thanks for watching. Would you rather spend the night by yourself on the island of dolls, or the weekend in Miyagi-Jima without a gas mask? Let us know in the comment section below.